The scrutiny over the VP picks is going on. JD Vance was introduced at the RNC. I was there in Milwaukee, and it was a love fest from the Republicans. But then very shortly after that, the media, doing its job, began to scrutinize who JD Vance is. Is he who he says he is? What is true about his record? What is not true about his record or his claims to his life? And now the same thing happened with the introduction of Governor Tim Walz from Minnesota. And he was rolled out at a campaign rally with the vice president, introduced to the country, and people are beginning to question his record. We talked earlier about his military record, the questions about social issues and feminine products and the boys' bathrooms for kids as young as fourth grade in public schools. And there's big embrace by people on the left for that. And, that's just a political disagreement. The idea that you're anti-trans, if you say that's a ridiculous thing to do, I don't subscribe to that. I think that the people that know me best understand that I don't have a malicious bone in my body toward anyone, and I want to see everyone succeed, but I think that's a bridge too far. In the end, what these two candidates are supposed to help the campaigns do is appeal to independent voters, to the average family. And this is where I separate myself. I understand it to be true, and I try to focus on it being true, but sometimes it gets difficult because of what I do and most of the people that I talk to because of what I do. And that is that there is a huge number of people in this country that are engaged, that are very bright and informed on the issues, that do not have a loyalty to either political party. That doesn't mean they vote 50-50 Republican, Democrat, but what it means is they are going to vote for the person that they listen on the issues and believe that that person aligns themselves most closely with me. And so those are the people that these two candidates, that Vance and Walz, are supposed to appeal to on behalf of the top of the ticket. We know that you are going to, and I believe that Vice President Harris is going to kind of jump to the middle as much as she can, but she is got a record, and she is a very staunch liberal Democrat that's been at the top of the ticket, second in line, but she's at the top of the ticket with the president. And you've got a former president, Donald Trump, that is far right and in the minds of many on many issues. And he is already pigeonholed, and so he's going to do what he does. The other two are going to be used in this campaign to appeal to the middle. And we'll see. We are going to see who in the end, if either or both, because it's possible that both of them are able to, and it's possible that both of them won't. But the questions being asked, what was interesting was the questions about the Governor Walz, and his statement about being a combat veteran. And that I believe this is a big enough issue that he just has to clarify. If he comes out and says, all right, listen, I want to be clear. If I wasn't clear before, I'm being clear now. I'm a veteran of the United States military. I'm a proud 24-year veteran of the United States military, but I'm not a combat veteran. Then that's a fair statement. Then this thing goes away very quickly. But he made a statement, and here's what he said. We can make sure, and he's done it more than once, we can make sure that he was at a gun control thing, we can make sure those weapons of war that I carried in war are only carried in war. So that lends itself to another bit of scrutiny, which is going to be the gun control thing. They're leaning on the Midwestern hunter. They've sold 1 million hats for Harris Walz that are camouflage or camo, which, by the way, the Democrats hated before. I love this. I really do. Because I love middle America, redneck America. That's my people. Camo but that's always been, for the left, has been seen as lowbrow, low intelligence, the low intelligence voter, low IQ voter. Well, now all of a sudden they sold 1 million of them. They love this. But isn't it fascinating that what the governor said is we're going to make sure that weapons of war that I carried in war are only carried in war, which seems to contradict exactly why the Second Amendment was written, doesn't it? The whole point of a militia, the whole point of being able to protect your family against an oppressive government, I've never called for, nor do I think we're anywhere near any kind of a civil war again. But that's the whole point. When there was a civil war in this country, how was it fought? It's incredible to me that you would say that we're going to make sure we're going to take away these weapons of war. That's exactly why the Second Amendment was written, so that that never happened. Now, before you start talking to me about tanks and grenade launchers, you go read the Second Amendment, and it just seems like that's a contradiction. That's going to be another question about his record. Is at one time he had such a high rating with the NRA, and then it went spiraling downhill. Well, he's changed his opinions, and therefore it's changed to say. And it's interesting because if you go back, and you can absolutely understand why, but former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords and her husband is Mark Kelly. When she was a congresswoman in Arizona, she had an A rating. I believe it was A. I don't know if it was an A plus or an A rating with the NRA. She was a moderate, pro-Second Amendment Democrat. Now, obviously, the tragedy that happened to her and that shooting that happened with Jared Loughner in southern Arizona, where many people died and she was so severely injured, it changed their voice on the issue. But there was a time when she was a moderate Democrat in southern Arizona with a very pro-gun attitude. And so I don't know what changed everything for the governor of Minnesota, but this is where, when you start going back and saying to people, and this is where I'm going to see how fair people want to be with this, if you're going to say, because it's already out there, in the wake of the George Floyd killing, the murder of George Floyd, and then, of course, the riots that happened, President Trump actually complimented the governor. Oh, you mean he changed his mind? Kind of like the governor's changed his mind about guns. These are the arguments that will continue.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch the first season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.